Well, good evening. Welcome back to Stepping Out of the Confusion. Tonight we're going to talk a little about called the Law of the Harvest. And if those of you who read the Bible, Jesus refers a lot of examples to farming and growing and seeds and branches and vines and fruit. And the Law of the Harvest is basically you reap what you sow. And we all can relate to the places where the fruits of our effort produce things that we can use and things that can be used against us. So I want to point out to you that a few things to help you in your harvest of yourself, and look inside the places in your soul where you're wanting to, let's just say, till the soil, replant some seeds, pull up some thorns, because if you're growing amongst thorns, eventually those thorns and everything and the weeds are going to choke it out, and you're going to starve for water, you're going to starve for something, or you're going to have to work through a lot of hard seasons to be able to get some really good roots in order to grow and produce some really good fruit. You think of your children as your fruit, or you think of your job as your fruit. So what is it that you are trying to sow, and what are you trying to reap? Last time I talked about the seed, and your soul is this seed that has this imprint, that has a specific blueprint that is you. And so you want to place yourself in the best soil. Sometimes we are left to our own vices, and we get into some really bad soil, and we make some really bad choices, and then before we know it, we are in the thorns, or we're living amongst the thorns, and we need to, luckily we're not like plants. We can pull ourselves out of a bad situation and replant ourselves in a better one. So looking at the law of the harvest as a place to learn what it is and where it is that you're trying to grow. In this book, he uses an example from Proverbs, and it's kind of it's not the best visual, but it's pretty applicable to where a dog will return to its own vomit and a fool will return to his folly. So how many times have we all, including myself, have returned back to something that, was poisonous to us, and we just went back and did it again. And we said, well, maybe it'll be better this time. Well, of course, we all know the definition of insanity. And if you don't know, look it up. But it's a place where you don't want to go back to what you've been doing that's not working, thinking that you're going to have different result. And that's pretty much the definition. But we all want to know, or at least we hope somebody's going to tell us, hey man, don't do that again. You've already seen what you did once. Like I've told everybody, I went to prison, and I got caught, and I went back and I ate my own vomit, and I kept going back, and then before I knew it, I was in jail. Something the Lord was showing me all along that time. Don't go doing that. There's people watching you. You're going to get caught. You're going to get in trouble. And, thinking that I was bigger than myself. And then I ended up in jail. Talk about eating your own vomit. So for those of you that think that, life is a bed of roses over here at the Heart Rock, it's not. We've had some pretty hard kicks around here. So anyway, for those of us still working it out, figuring it out, using the Lord as he asks us to do, using the scriptures that he teaches us from, we want to be able to get that good soil, find that good soil, dig your roots deep in there, and let the law of the harvest work in your favor, which is reap what you sow. When you've been reaping some really good stuff, it's hopefully from the place of love and commitment and integrity and just the places where the light has grown something so big that you can celebrate, and if there's a setback, you pick yourself up and you dust off the dirt and you keep going. It's like there's storms, there's times when a storm will come by and blow over everything, but if the roots are intact, you're going to grow back up, and that's the thing about life. So using a little bit of digging in, being strong, knowing that you come from good seed, regardless of your parents. There's, we're not going to get into the whole forgiveness thing right now, but, there is a thing about forgiveness that if the seed that you came from wasn't that great, or it's, everybody's got their pitfalls and downfalls. There's nobody flawless here. So, but, if you look past them, if there isn't a way to look past them, you got to forgive them. And then you've got to go find the part of your seed that God gave you that is good, and don't look back. He who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. So just to recap, this is about the law of the harvest. Reap what you sow. Don't go back on things that the harvest was horrible, but you're going to go back again thinking you're going to get a better harvest the next time doing the same thing over. It's not, it very unlikely turns out good. And if it does, you got lucky. And God doesn't work on luck. He works on principle. He works on, discipline. And one side note about the Lord and discipline, he doesn't look for punitive justice. He looks for restorative justice. And restorative means he's trying to restorate you. He's trying to get you back to what you originally were. And that original thing was the glory. And that original seed is in there, and he wants to, punitive, punishment, whatever you want to call it. It feels like punishment. Trust me, I know. I felt like I was punished. But what I got was restoration, because now I'm a better person. I'm a bigger man. In my spirit, in my soul, I feel righteous, which we know righteous, alignment with the King. So look at yourself from the place of love. Know that you are good seed. Know that you can plant yourself in some really good soil and grow like crazy in the light. And when the storm comes, you weather it, you hunker down, you make sure your roots are tight. And when that sunshine comes out, you just bask in the grace of glory. It's so awesome. So, just wanted to touch on that. And then we'll talk about forgiveness and families and that kind of stuff coming up soon. But I hope this helps you on your day. I hope you remember that you are in the light of God, and he is here to show it to you. So stay tuned. Thank you all.